The year was 1776, a year that would echo through the centuries, shaping the destiny of a nation not yet born. In Charleston, South Carolina, the air was thick with jasmine, salt, and whispers of freedom, independence, and war. The city awoke each morning to the scent of the sea and the distant promise of change, as if the very breeze carried secrets from across the Atlantic. The grand houses stood proud, their owners debating liberty and fearing the might of the British Empire. In candlelit parlors, voices rose in heated argument, torn between loyalty to the crown and the hope for a new beginning. Change was coming, pulling everyone toward an uncertain future. Storm clouds gathered not just in the sky but in the hearts of the people, as anxiety and anticipation mingled in every conversation. Across the colonies, revolution simmered. From New England to the Carolinas, the call for liberty grew louder and the fires of unrest burned brighter with each passing day. In Charleston, excitement mixed with dread. Every gathering, every whispered word seemed to carry the weight of history in the making. The city's harbor was a gateway to the south, its rice and indigo vital. Ships came and went, carrying not just goods but news, rumors, and the hopes of a restless people. The British would come, it was only a matter of when. Their ships loomed on the horizon, a constant reminder that the struggle for control was about to reach Charleston's shores. The colonists were not soldiers, but they looked for hope in each other and to leaders like Colonel William Moultrie. Ordinary men and women, farmers and merchants, found themselves preparing for a fight that would test their courage and resolve. Moultrie, a planter who knew the land and its people, would soon be called to defend his home. His knowledge of the marshes and rivers, and his steady leadership, would prove invaluable in the days ahead. Supplies were scarce, few cannons, precious gunpowder. The defenders of Charleston faced overwhelming odds, forced to make do with whatever they could find or forge. But South Carolina had one thing in abundance, the sabal palmetto. These trees, rooted deep in the sandy soil, had weathered countless storms and stood as silent witnesses to the unfolding drama. Its soft, spongy wood was an unlikely choice for a fortress, but these were desperate times. The palmetto's resilience, long overlooked, would soon be put to the ultimate test. The palmetto log, humble and overlooked, was about to become a symbol of resilience. What seemed ordinary would soon prove extraordinary in the face of cannon fire. Ordinary people and ordinary things would soon achieve the extraordinary. Together they built not just a fort, but a legacy of hope and determination. The story of Charleston in 1776 is one of courage, ingenuity, and the palmetto logs that helped save a revolution. It is a story of a city and its people, standing together at the edge of history. As the city braced for war, the palmetto tree stood ready to play its part. Its roots anchored in the soil, its fronds reaching for the sky, it became a living emblem of the South's resolve. The fate of Charleston, and perhaps the entire revolution, would soon rest on its soft, fibrous strength. The world would watch as the palmetto logs faced the thunder of British guns. In the coming days, the world would learn what the people of Charleston and their palmetto logs could do. Their courage would echo far beyond the city's walls, inspiring generations to come. The revolution's first great southern stand was about to begin. In the golden light of dawn, Charleston prepared to make history. Charleston was no ordinary town. It was the jewel of the South, with a harbor perfect for British fleets and trade. Control of Charleston meant control of rice, indigo, and the southern economy. The British believed capturing Charleston would cripple the rebellion and inspire loyalists to rise. Their southern strategy aimed to split the colonies and isolate New England. In early summer 1776, a powerful British fleet under Commodore Sir Peter Parker and General Henry Clinton sailed south. Their mission: seize Charleston, crush the rebellion, and reclaim the South for the crown. The British saw Charleston's fall as a decisive blow to American hopes, but the city's fate and the revolution's hung in the balance. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test both sides' resolve. The outcome would echo far beyond the Carolina coast. As the British fleet approached, Charleston buzzed with urgency. Colonel Moultrie's challenge: defend the harbor from Sullivan's Island, the city's gateway. With no stone or brick, Moultrie turned to palmetto logs and sand, unconventional, but all they had. The men built 16-foot thick walls, 2 rows of palmetto logs packed with sand. The fort, rough and unfinished, looked primitive but was born of necessity and local knowledge. Some doubted it could withstand British cannons, but Moultrie pressed on. The defenders, a mix of soldiers and militia, worked under the hot sun, racing against time. The fort's seaward face was a thick barrier of palmetto and sand, Charleston's only shield. Vulnerable but determined, they prepared for the coming storm. This humble fortress, built from the land itself, was a gamble. It was a stand made of the softest wood, but the strongest will. Soon it would face the ultimate test. June 28, 1776. The British fleet, 9 warships strong, moved into position, an awesome display of power. Their sails filled the horizon, masts bristling with cannons, as the morning sun glinted off the water. The Royal Navy, the mightiest in the world, had come to crush the rebellion in the south and reclaim the colonies for the crown. 400 defenders in Fort Sullivan faced them, their fort incomplete, ammunition low. The men, mostly local militia, worked through the night to shore up the palmetto log walls, knowing they were all that stood between Charleston and destruction. The British plan: bombard the fort, then attack from the rear via a shallow channel. They believed their superior firepower and numbers would quickly overwhelm the defenders. Inside the fort, tension ran high, but Colonel William Moultrie urged his men to stay cool and do their duty. He reminded them that the eyes of the entire city, and perhaps the whole revolution, were upon them. The city held its breath as the British prepared to strike. Families gathered on rooftops and along the shore, watching anxiously as the enemy fleet drew closer, uncertain if they would see their homes survive the day. The British expected a quick victory, an hour or two, and the rebel flag would fall. Their officers, confident and composed, believed the fort would crumble under their guns. But they underestimated the palmetto logs, the defenders' resolve, and the treacherous local waters. The fort's spongy walls would absorb cannonballs, and the men inside were determined to hold at any cost. The channel, the breach, would prove deeper and more dangerous than the British thought. Shifting tides and hidden sandbars threatened to trap their boats and disrupt their assault. The fate of Charleston rested on the strange walls of Fort Sullivan. Every citizen, soldier, and family waited, hearts pounding, for the battle to begin. The defenders braced for the onslaught, knowing everything was at stake. Their courage and unity would be tested as never before. The first shots would soon decide the city's future. The roar of cannons and the crash of splintering wood would echo across the harbor. The battle for the South was about to begin, a clash that would shape the destiny of a city, and perhaps a nation. The British unleashed a thunderous barrage, an overwhelming display of power meant to crush all resistance in a single, decisive blow. Hundreds of cannonballs screamed through the morning air, arcing toward Fort Sullivan with deadly intent, each one a symbol of British might and confidence. But the palmetto walls didn't shatter. Instead, they stood as a silent, unexpected shield. The soft, fibrous wood absorbed the blows, flexing and giving rather than breaking, defying the destructive force of iron and gunpowder. Cannonballs sank harmlessly into the spongy logs, their energy spent, their threat neutralized by nature's unlikely armor. The British, certain of a quick surrender, watched with growing frustration as their strategy faltered. But the fort held firm, its walls unbroken, its defenders undaunted. Inside, Moultrie's men returned fire with determination, every shot precious, every volley a message of defiance. The battle raged for hours beneath a relentless, scorching sun, sweat and smoke mingling in the air as both sides pushed their limits. British ships took heavy fire, their decks splintered and men scrambling for cover as American shots found their mark. Their own cannons, once so feared, barely dented the fort's resilient walls, the British advantage slipping away with every failed volley. The defenders, battered but unbroken, refused to yield, their resolve hardening with each passing hour. British officers watched in disbelief, unable to comprehend how their overwhelming force was being so easily thwarted. Their might, their technology, was being mocked by nothing more than soft wood and the stubborn courage of determined men. What should have been a swift, overwhelming victory became a grueling stalemate, a test of endurance and spirit. The palmetto logs, underestimated by all, were performing a miracle, turning the tide of battle with every cannonball they absorbed. The defenders' courage, fueled by hope and desperation, turned the tide and inspired all who witnessed their stand. The British plan unraveled as the hours dragged on, confusion and doubt spreading among their ranks. The fort, battered but unbroken, stood strong, and with it, the revolution's hope endured. the world was witnessing a new kind of resistance, one built on ingenuity, unity, and the unbreakable will of a people fighting for freedom. The secret was in the sable palmetto's fibers, tough, stringy, and shock-absorbing. Cannonballs buried themselves in the logs, their force spent, the walls unbroken. Sand packed between the logs absorbed even more impact, reinforcing the fort. The British, used to stone and oak, were confounded. Their firepower vanished into the fort's walls, doing little damage. For the Americans, each cannonball that failed to break through was a surge of hope. The palmetto's resilience became a metaphor for the defenders themselves. Local knowledge and ingenuity had outwitted imperial might. The humble palmetto tree became a hero of the revolution. Its quiet strength helped save a city and inspire a nation. Amid the chaos, a British shot struck the fort's flagpole. The Liberty flag fell outside the walls. For a moment it seemed defeat was near, but Sergeant William Jasper refused to let the symbol fall. He dashed through enemy fire, retrieved the flag, and raised it high on a makeshift staff. His bravery electrified the defenders, turning despair into resolve. The flag's return became a rallying point, a sign the fight would go on. Jasper's courage showed that American spirit could match British firepower. His name became legend, a symbol of the common soldier's heroism. The flag and the cause would not fall that day. After 10 hours, the British bombardment had failed. The fort still stood, its flag still flying. British ships were damaged, some running aground in the tricky harbor. The planned land assault faltered, the channel was too deep, the defenders too strong. Commodore Parker, wounded and frustrated, ordered a retreat as night fell. The next morning, the British burned the stranded Actaeon to prevent its capture. The victory was total. A small, unfinished fort had repelled the world's greatest navy. News of the triumph spread, boosting American morale just before the Declaration of Independence. The British would not return for years. The Palmetto logs and their defenders had secured a crucial victory for independence. Charleston and the Revolution had survived. The Battle of Sullivan's Island left a lasting legacy. The fort was renamed Fort Moultrie, and the palmetto tree became a state symbol. South Carolina's flag now bears the palmetto and crescent, reminders of that day. Each June 28th, Carolina Day celebrates the victory and the spirit of 1776. The story of Jasper Moultrie and the palmetto logs is retold, inspiring new generations. The palmetto stands as a symbol of strength in unexpected places. The teamwork, ingenuity, and courage of the defenders are woven into South Carolina's identity. The soft wood that saved a revolution reminds us, true strength often comes from where we least expect it.